How is it possible that so many adults feel like they don't have options in life? That they're stuck in what many people call the rat race? That they went to college, got a degree, got a job, and that job pays them just enough money to get by in life, just enough money to pay for their mortgage, just enough money to pay for their family's bills and their food and their clothing, and they fear that if they were to lose that job, they wouldn't be able to get another one, or they wouldn't be able to create an opportunity for themselves that brings in enough money to keep up their standard of living. And for many people, that's a reality of life, but they don't want that for their kids. But in order to make sure that our kids do have options in life, we first have to understand why so many people feel like they don't. And that starts with understanding what the school system is doing wrong so that we as individual parents could adjust and do the right things to make sure that our children have all the options we would ever want them to have out of life. And what so many people don't realize is that there is a secret lesson taught in every school in America. So when children go to school for 5 days a week, for 7 hours a day, for 15 consecutive years, they go where the bell tells them to go, from 45-minute block to 45-minute block to 45-minute block. Many people correctly point out that they are being trained in the habits of an employee. But what I would argue is that there is something much more nefarious going on, because when you look at how the school system is structured, everything is generally centered around memorization so that young people could repeat what they've been told on a standardized test, and if they're able to do that, they get an A and they're said to be one of the smart children. But they didn't learn to critically think. They didn't learn to problem solve. They simply learned how to memorize what they've been told by authority and to repeat that back. And this sets them on a path in which they can get A's and they can get high grades and they can get a transcript, and ultimately they could get a degree, but their worth, or at least their feeling of self-worth, will be tied to that piece of paper. And that's what the school system does. It trains young people that their worth comes from the system. So for 15 years, every assignment comes from the teacher. Young people are never given the opportunity to follow their interest, to pursue their ambitions. Everything comes from that authority figure, so that when they're adults, every assignment they do will not be their ambition, but will come from their boss. And ultimately, their work, or the quality of their work, is judged by the teacher. And what this entire process does, because really, the students should be judging the quality of their own work and they should have pride in what they do, but the system kind of pulls that out of young people. And what the entire thing does is it produces a group of people that are dependent on others. And as this happens, the school system got rid of woodshop, got rid of home ec, and it does not prioritize skills at all, only dependence. So when you think about the entire exercise and you think about what habits, because I tell homeschool parents all the time, one of the most important things you can do as a homeschool parent is to focus on the development of winning habits, because it's those habits that carry you forth to success in life. Well, in school, young people are told to show up. They are told to be where they are told. They're taught to memorize, to repeat, to only do the assignments they're told to do, to never pursue their interest. They are taught no skills, and they are given no experience. And what this entire exercise does is it creates the habits of dependence in young people. And what we as parents want to do, or we as educators should want to do, is to develop the habits of independence in young people. But if you're going to do that, you need to focus on things like problem solving from as early an age as possible. And this is why I have our young students do so many STEM projects, so many open-ended projects in which their objective is not only to build something, but to figure out how to make it happen, because we want to produce problem solvers, because we want to produce critical thinkers. The next step is to refocus on those skills, on woodshop, on home ec. We actually want to achieve something that I call creative excellence. If we're educating our children right, by the time they're 18 years old, they should have the ability to take whatever's in their creative mind and produce that in the real world, produce that in physical reality. They should have the ability to tap into the creative genius that is inside of every child. And we do that through woodshop, we do that through STEM, we do that through focusing on engineering, we do that with art, we do that with music, we do that with coding, but we as parents need to focus on the development of skills, so that when they're older and they have that idea, they're able to take what is in their amazing creative minds and produce it in the real world. Critical thinkers, problem solvers with skills who could produce things in the real world. And the real world is our final step, because we as parent educators have the ability to challenge our children, to guide our children to do things in the real world. And when they're little, that starts simply. Maybe you could have them make Christmas elves and sell them around the holiday, or maybe they could start a lemonade stand or a cookie sale, or start a jewelry business, or you could teach them how to sell things on Etsy, or how to make things and sell them on Facebook Marketplace. There are so many different things that we can do with our kids to get them real world experience. But when you take that young person who is a problem solver, is a critical thinker, they have real skills for the real world, they could take what's in their creative mind and produce it in physical reality, and then they have a childhood filled with real world experience, you have developed a young person who has the habits of independence. You are developing a young person who is capable of doing real things in the real world and forging their path forward, so they don't ever feel like they're stuck in the rat race. So they don't ever feel like they are at a dead-end job where they want to leave, but they don't feel like it's an option. They are not one of those people who have been trained by the system to believe that their value comes from a piece of paper given to them by the system after they've done everything that they've been told to do. Because the truth is, the system's not training them to be employees. There are many employees in the world who are actually very free and independent people. There's nothing wrong with being an employee. But what the system's actually doing is training young people to be dependent. It's training them on the habits of dependence so that they'll always be dependent on that system. But we as parents have the ability to train our children in the habits of independence. You can do this on your own, but if you want help, this is what I love to do. We run live classes 5 days a week, all types of pre-recorded courses, lesson plans, unit studies, www.classicallearner.com. That's www.classicallearner.com.